So back to the Marvel blockbusters, yay! The big budget movies that are kind of somewhat entertaining while you're watching them, but ultimately as you leave the cinema you start to push all that information out of your brain. Black Widow was the latest in the Marvel juggernaut. Finally, Natasha Romanoff is getting her own story, and Scarlett Johansson takes the role with aplomb, but we have a movie that's filled with kind of wonderful side characters, entertaining side characters, the kind of roles. They don't have to drive the story forward like Black Widow herself, and in that case they have more fun than the main character. She is introduced as a youngster in the movie, a little bit of backstory to her and her family, and then we jump to modern day where she finds herself having to look at the past traumas of her family and how they've dealt with her upbringing, bringing them all back together and saving the day against the bad guy played by Ray Winston. The movie's kind of formulaic. You know where it's going to go, but there's not much in the form of surprises. What the surprises for me were some of the side characters whom I really enjoyed. Florence Pugh as Yelena, Natasha's sister, was a revelation. She was wonderful. She seemed really physically capable in the action set pieces. She looked lethal. She was kind of funny as well, and the way she delivered a lot of her lines were really enjoyable. David Harbour as the Red Guardian was an interesting character whom I was never really too sure what I was getting, but he turns out to be primarily comic relief and is awesome at that. Remarkably funny and engaging. You get some Rachel Weisz as a character whom was the mother of the Black Widow, and she is again another amazing character. They're all kind of fun. Ray Winston does what he can, but he's the typical kind of bad guy. And the problems that I have with this movie all revolve around the lack of realism within it. You know, stuff just happens that just can't happen. You know, you see a character fall 5 floors and they just pick themselves up as if nothing's happened. There's moments at the end during a destructive sequence of an airbase where somebody's parachuting down and seemingly avoiding millions of pieces of debris that are going through the air. People have superhuman skills without being superhuman, and it just kind of creates that uncanny valley of kids playing in the back garden with their toys. You know, that smashing them together, not creating any kind of sense of realism. There is no weight in this movie. There is no nothing at stake. Nothing is going to happen particularly bad to any of the characters. The good guys are going to win, the bad guys are going to die, good guys triumph and move on to the next juggernaut movie. Except Black Widow, of course, but then we already know her outcome because we've seen it in another movie. I kind of enjoyed Black Widow. It was fun. It was chewing gum. It was popcorn for the brain. You know, something I watched, I had a few chuckles with. Some things I couldn't comprehend because it just seemed a little bit too silly, but I went with it. I had fun. As soon as I left the cinema, it's kind of starting to evade my brain. Something that I don't really want to think about again. Something I may end up putting on if I'm really looking to have some background noise later on. But again, it's another Marvel movie that I've seen, I was happy to see, and now I'm happy to forget about that it's done. Big budget, noise, explosions, action, but devoid of anything of real substance. What did you think of Black Widow? Let me know in the comment box below your thoughts, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.